What's up everybody? Welcome to this week's video where we're going to be discussing some teenagers turned murderers. Make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a weekly upload. As always, let's get into it. In early July of 1994, a 16-year-old boy named Kelsey decided to go and stay at his friend's house, Mike, who was a 17-year-old boy that lived in Georgia. On Monday, July 11th, Mike decided to go to work, leaving Kelsey at his house alone with two other 17-year-old boys. The three boys, being home alone, got a little bit bored and decided to create their own homemade pipe bombs using copper pipes, gunpowder, and firecrackers. After making the pipe bomb, the boys decided to take it into Mike's backyard and detonate it. The boys were happy with the results and decided that they wanted to make a more sophisticated style pipe bomb. To accomplish this, they went to a nearby Walmart and a nearby hardware store where they picked up some steel piping and shotgun shells that they shoplifted. Under Kelsey's direction, the three boys decided to galvanize these pipe bombs made out of steel and then detonate them in Mike's backyard. The explosion made a 1-foot crater into the ground and blew scraps of metal all over the inside of Mike's house. The boys began to panic when this bomb did much more than they expected, and Kelsey decided to take the other two bombs and place them in his backpack. The boys decided to go on with their day, and later that evening when Mike arrived home from work, he invited a bunch of friends over to his house to celebrate a party. All of the boys were having fun getting drunk, and around midnight they decided to go to a popular hangout spot for all of the teenagers. When two of the boys arrived at the hangout spot, they noticed their friend Melanie Ritchie was hopping around on one foot. In the process of sneaking out, Melanie cut her foot, so the boys decided to take her back to Mike's house so they could help bandage her up. The two boys and Melanie arrived at Mike's house around 1:30 a.m. and after bandaging her foot up, they decided to rejoin the party. A boy named Jeffrey, who was at the party, approached Melanie and tried to talk her into having sexual intercourse with him. Melanie politely declined, and Jeffrey started to grow a ton of frustration, and people at the party even overheard him say that he was so mad he could kill her. Jeffrey decided to take an ecstasy tablet that he had in his pocket and crush it up and then put it into a tea concoction to serve to Melanie. Jeffrey decided to give the drink to Melanie and tell her that it would help with her stomach ache, not letting her know that he had laced the drink with the ecstasy. Eventually, Melanie passed out, and the two boys who took her to the party, including Jeffrey, decided to take her back to her house. Before leaving Mike's house, one of the boys grabbed a wrench and decided that he would use it in case she woke up to knock her back unconscious with. Kelsey decided that the wrench was not enough and decided to bring one of the unexploded pipe bombs with him as well. While Richie and Jeffrey were driving, Melanie woke up in the back of the seat and asked them where they were going because they were headed in the opposite direction of her house. Neither of the boys responded because they couldn't hear her over the loud music and the fact that the car was driving at over 100 miles an hour. While the two boys were driving, Richie decided to hop into the back seat and grab Melanie and hold her in a chokehold. About 2 seconds later, Jeffrey heard two loud thumps and noticed that Richie had hopped into the back seat and knocked Melanie unconscious using the wrench. Jeffrey's heart began to panic because when he turned around, he saw Melanie unconscious and her lips began to turn blue. After Melanie was knocked unconscious, Richie instructed Jeffrey to go park their car on the nearest bridge. The boys began to panic because one of them checked her pulse and believed that she was still alive, while the other said there's no way she survived what we just did to her and believed that she had died. While Kelsey was standing over Melanie's body looking at her lie on the ground, Jeffrey instructed him to put one of the pipe bombs into her mouth and light it. Once the pipe bomb was in Melanie's mouth, Jeffrey decided to light the fuse and the two boys took off running towards the car. Only 2 seconds later, the bomb went off and the boys decided to hop back in the car and head home. Although the boys were running off adrenaline, they somehow managed to get home and then go to sleep. Within the following weeks, eventually the boys were arrested. One of the boys was arrested out of state because he was trying to flee after the awful crime they committed, and the other two were arrested in their hometown. All of the boys were tried as adults, and they were also found guilty of possessing a pipe bomb and murder. After being found guilty, Kelsey was sentenced to life in prison for murder and possession of a pipe bomb. Unfortunately, 15-year-old Melanie will never get full justice for what these disgusting 17-year-old boys committed that night to her. Is life in prison enough? What do you think?